Good evening, and welcome back to Deep Sleep Science. Tonight, something extraordinary waits for you in the quiet hours ahead. Somewhere between waking and sleeping, there exists a threshold your mind occasionally crosses, a place where you become aware inside your own dreams, where consciousness folds back upon itself like moonlight reflecting on still water. You don't need to follow every thought tonight. You don't need to remember anything at all. Let these ideas settle around you the way autumn leaves come to rest on a quiet pond, arriving gently, touching the surface, asking nothing of you. If sleep finds you before we reach the end, that is exactly as it should be. Welcome to Deep Sleep Science, where the science of sleep becomes a quiet companion for the night. This gentle exploration connects resting minds across the stillness of evening. A soft subscribe or a quiet like opens a pathway for one more sleepy soul to find this peaceful corner of the dark. One calm breath, one resting mind at a time. Now allow yourself to settle even deeper into wherever you are. Feel the weight of your body releasing into the surface beneath you, held completely, supported without any effort of your own. Let your shoulders soften. Let the small muscles around your eyes relax. Your hands can rest open, fingers gently curled, as if they are holding nothing but the quiet itself. Tonight we explore 100 calming psychology facts about what happens inside a lucid dream. We begin with the deepest questions, the ones about consciousness and meaning. Then we drift through gentle techniques for finding awareness within sleep. We visit the quiet neuroscience of dreaming brains. And we arrive, at last, at the tender sensations that make these inner worlds feel more vivid than waking life has ever offered. Close your eyes now if they haven't already closed. Let your breathing find its own rhythm. Unhurried, unforced. And now, we begin. Lucid dreaming quietly dismantles the certainty of what you call real. Inside a lucid dream, the world around you feels entirely convincing. You can touch surfaces and feel their texture. Hear sounds that ring with perfect clarity. See colors that glow with impossible richness. Yet you know, with absolute confidence, that everything surrounding you exists only within your sleeping mind. This direct experience of reality as something constructed, something assembled into existence by awareness itself, raises a question that lingers long after waking. If your dreaming brain can build worlds this convincing from nothing but its own activity, how much of waking experience is also assembled, filtered, interpreted by the same perceiving mind? The certainty that waking life is fundamentally different from dreaming begins to soften, like frost dissolving from a window at dawn, revealing that the landscape was always there, waiting to be seen without the glass between. Some researchers now describe lucid dreaming as a form of existential grounding, a practice that reconnects you with the fundamental mystery of being aware at all. A 2025 paper from the University of Milan explored how regular lucid dreamers report a deeper sense of presence in daily life, as if recognizing consciousness within dreams teaches them to recognize consciousness while awake. The researchers suggested that by confronting the constructed nature of dream reality, lucid dreamers develop what they called ontological flexibility, the ability to hold multiple perspectives on what is real without anxiety, rather than destabilizing their sense of reality. This flexibility appears to strengthen it, like a tree whose roots grow deeper and stronger by bending with the wind rather than resisting it. The sense of self you carry inside a lucid dream feels continuous with your waking identity, yet it inhabits a body and world that have no physical substance at all. You think. You choose. You remember who you are. You feel entirely yourself. But this self exists within a form made of nothing but electrical patterns and memory fragments, moving through landscapes assembled purely from imagination. If identity can persist so fully in a reality that doesn't physically exist, then perhaps the self is not tied to any particular body or circumstance. Perhaps you are fundamentally the awareness that witnesses experience, something that inhabits different forms and different realities while remaining essentially unchanged. Like water taking the shape of whatever vessel holds it. Always water, regardless of the container. Intention inside a lucid dream operates differently than will in waking life. You can choose to do things, and often the dream responds beautifully. But control is never total. The dream also generates surprises, presents images and events you didn't consciously plan. Parts of your mind that remain outside your conscious reach continue creating alongside your deliberate choices. This gentle partnership between intention and spontaneity mirrors something true about waking existence as well. You make decisions. You exert effort. Yet much of what happens lies beyond your directing. Lucid dreaming becomes a quiet laboratory for exploring how agency and acceptance can coexist. How will and surrender can dance together without either one leading entirely. Like two currents meeting in a river, blending into a single flow that belongs to neither alone. Dream figures encountered during lucid states occasionally carry messages from depths of yourself you rarely visit while awake. When you approach a dream character with conscious awareness and ask who they represent, their responses can surprise you. They might express emotions you have been avoiding, voice perspectives you haven't consciously considered, or embody qualities you didn't realize you possessed. Research on dream character interaction, conducted at the University of Bern, suggests that different aspects of your personality can operate with a degree of independence during sleep. Dialogue with dream figures becomes a form of inner conversation, an exchange between the self you know and the selves that quietly reside beneath the surface. Like discovering rooms in a house you have always lived in but never fully explored. Ethical choices arise within lucid dreams with a weight that many dreamers find surprising. Knowing you are dreaming, knowing nothing you do will physically affect anyone. You might expect moral considerations to dissolve entirely. Yet many lucid dreamers report that how they treat dream characters matters deeply to them, emotionally and psychologically. A 2024 study from the University of Oxford explored moral decision-making during verified lucid dreams and found that dreamers who acted with kindness toward dream figures reported more positive experiences and better subsequent mood upon waking. The researchers proposed that moral intuitions run deeper than rational calculation, that they persist even when consequences vanish. Your sense of right and wrong follows you into imaginary worlds, like a compass that continues pointing north even when the landscape around it becomes impossible to map. In certain deep lucid states, the boundary between the one who watches and the world being watched softens until it vanishes entirely. Dreamers describe moments when they stop experiencing themselves as a character inside a dream and begin feeling that they are the entire dream. Environment and perceiver unified into a single expression of awareness. This dissolution of subject and object has been described across contemplative traditions for centuries and appears consistently in phenomenological accounts gathered from research at multiple universities. Whether this reveals something fundamental about the nature of consciousness or demonstrates the remarkable flexibility of human awareness, the experience leaves those who encounter it forever changed. Like standing at the shore of a vast ocean and realizing you were never separate from the water. Subjective duration inside a lucid dream bends in ways that reveal something surprising about time itself. You might spend what feels like an hour exploring an elaborate dreamscape, only to wake and discover that 12 minutes of actual sleep have passed. Conversely, a brief lucid flash might contain within it a compressed narrative so rich it seems to hold a lifetime. These temporal distortions suggest that the steady, measured flow of time you experience while awake might also be constructed by your perceiving mind, a rhythm your brain creates rather than a fundamental property of existence. Clock time and experienced time separate completely inside a dream, like two melodies that started together and gradually drifted apart, each beautiful on its own, each following its own private logic. Beauty in lucid dreams sometimes arrives with an intensity that surpasses anything waking perception has offered. Dream sunsets burn with colors that don't appear in the visible spectrum. Dream music carries harmonies that feel physically impossible yet emotionally perfect. Researchers at the University of Zurich, who interviewed experienced lucid dreamers, documented consistent reports of aesthetic experiences so powerful they brought dreamers to tears within the dream itself. The researchers proposed that without the constraints of physical sensory input, the brain's aesthetic processing systems can operate at full creative capacity, generating beauty unconstrained by what reality allows. You might encounter a flower whose petals shift through 7 unnamed shades of blue, each one more peaceful than the last. Like watching the sky deepen from afternoon into evening, inside a single breath. The brilliance of lucid dream worlds poses a gentle challenge to the assumption that physical reality holds a monopoly on authentic experience. From the perspective of pure experience, of what something feels like from the inside, a lucid dream can be every bit as vivid as sitting in your room right now listening to these words. Colors are saturated. Emotions are genuine. The sense of being present is undiminished. If reality is measured by the quality and intensity of experience, rather than by whether atoms and molecules participate, then lucid dreams qualify as entirely real. The question becomes not whether dreams are real, but what you truly mean by reality. A word that grows wider and more generous the more closely you examine it. Like a path that broadens into a meadow the further you walk along it. Creative expression discovers unusual freedom within lucid dreams because the normal constraints of physics simply do not apply. You can sculpt with light, compose symphonies by thinking them into existence, paint across the sky with your fingertips. Some artists report entering lucid dreams as creative studios, exploring visual compositions, testing ideas, allowing their unconscious minds to generate concepts that their waking minds could never have invented alone. The combination of conscious awareness and unconscious creative generation exists nowhere else in human experience so vividly. You become simultaneously the artist and the medium, the composer and the instrument, the storyteller and the story. Like a river that has learned to choose its own course while still flowing with the force that moves all water downhill. Researchers have begun investigating whether awareness in dreams might sometimes extend beyond the boundaries of the individual dreamer. While the idea of shared dreaming remains scientifically unverified, studies published in 2025 from the Institute of Noetic Sciences documented intriguing correlations between dream content reported by pairs of dreamers who set mutual dream intentions before sleep. These preliminary findings, while far from conclusive, suggest that the boundaries of dreaming consciousness might be more porous than previously assumed. Whether future research confirms or challenges these early observations, the investigation itself reflects something beautiful. The willingness of science to follow curiosity even into the most mysterious territories of human experience. Like explorers mapping coastlines of a continent they can only glimpse through fog. Early studies explore lucid dreaming as a complementary approach to healing that works alongside traditional methods without replacing them. Research into nightmare treatment has shown that individuals who develop lucid dreaming skills can learn to recognize nightmares while they occur and transform them from within, reducing their emotional impact and their frequency over time. Preliminary evidence from clinical studies conducted across research centers in Europe and North America suggests that lucid dreaming interventions may help reduce PTSD symptoms, support emotional processing, and provide a safe internal environment for confronting difficult experiences at your own pace. The dream becomes a protected space where challenging emotions can be met with awareness rather than overwhelm, like finding a warm shelter during a storm, a place where you can watch the rain without being soaked. Certain dimensions of lucid dreaming resist language entirely. Experienced dreamers often struggle to convey what the experience truly feels like, not because they lack vocabulary, but because the experience occurs in a mode of consciousness that words were never designed to capture. Language about awareness necessarily uses awareness to describe itself, creating a circularity that always leaves something unspoken. Contemplative traditions have long recognized this quality of deep experience, calling it ineffable, pointing toward it with metaphor, while acknowledging that pointing can never substitute for the direct encounter. Some things can only be known by experiencing them firsthand, like trying to describe the taste of cold water to someone who has never taken a drink. The description always falls beautifully short of the simple act itself. Through lucid dreaming, abstract philosophical questions about consciousness become intensely personal. What is awareness? Where does it come from? What am I? Really, these cease to be intellectual exercises when you are floating lucidly above a dream landscape, fully aware that the world below you exists only within your sleeping brain. The questions stop being theoretical and become felt, experienced, inhabited from the inside. You are investigating consciousness from within consciousness itself, using awareness to examine awareness. Mind turning its gaze upon its own operations with something like tenderness. This first-person philosophical inquiry gives lucid dreaming a contemplative dimension that connects it to meditation, to phenomenology, to the deepest questions humanity has ever asked. Like standing inside a mirror and watching your own reflection gently watch you back. Experienced lucid dreamers occasionally describe moments when every boundary between self and world, between dreamer and dream, between awareness and its contents, dissolves into a seamless wholeness. Reports gathered from research at universities in Europe, North America, and Asia share remarkable consistency across cultures and personal backgrounds. The experience is described as peaceful rather than disorienting, expansive rather than frightening, natural rather than forced. Some dreamers compare it to becoming an ocean rather than remaining a single wave, retaining individuality while recognizing connection to something incomprehensibly larger. Whether these moments reveal something fundamental about consciousness, or demonstrate the extraordinary range of states the human brain can generate. They permanently shift how those who encounter them understand their relationship to existence itself. Like watching a horizon you believed was a wall quietly become a window instead. Lucid dreaming research has quietly reshaped how scientists study and understand consciousness over the past 2 decades. By providing a verified, reproducible state where subjective experience can be reported during sleep itself. Lucid dreaming gave consciousness researchers something they had long lacked: a bridge between objective brain measurements and subjective first-person reports. Studies using lucid dreaming paradigms have contributed to understanding neural correlates of consciousness, the relationship between brain activity and subjective experience, and the mechanisms by which awareness emerges from matter. Every lucid dream reported and verified in a laboratory adds another observation to humanity's growing understanding of what it means to be aware. Like individual stars being added to a constellation, each one clarifying the pattern of the whole. Perhaps the most enduring gift lucid dreaming offers is not spectacle or adventure, though both are abundantly available. The deeper gift is strengthened metacognitive awareness, the capacity to observe your own experience while having it, to witness your thoughts without being lost inside them. This skill, once cultivated during sleep, carries naturally into waking hours. You begin noticing patterns in your thinking, recognizing emotional reactions before they overwhelm you, observing mental habits with gentle curiosity rather than blind identification. The dream becomes a training ground for a more aware waking life, like learning to swim in calm water, so that when stronger currents arrive, you already know how to float without effort. Lucid dreaming holds a quiet paradox that humbles and empowers simultaneously. It humbles because you discover firsthand how much of experience is assembled by your own perceiving mind, how little of what feels solid exists independently of perception. Every certainty becomes a little softer, every assumption a little more open to gentle revision. Yet it also empowers because you discover that consciousness is trainable, explorable, that you can learn to navigate your own mental landscape with skill and grace. You are neither powerless before experience nor in total control of it, but something more interesting than either, an awareness discovering its own nature through persistent, patient investigation. Like a candle that illuminates more of the room the longer it burns. Consciousness exists not only in the familiar states of fully waking or fully sleeping, but in a vast spectrum of in-between configurations that most people never pause to notice. Hypnagogia, the transitional state between waking and sleep, carries its own unique perceptual qualities. Vivid imagery, floating sensations, dissolving thoughts. Hypnopompia, the transition from sleep to waking, brings dream fragments into the first moments of morning awareness. Lucid dreaming occupies its own distinctive place on this spectrum, combining elements of both sleep and waking in a configuration that shouldn't work but does. Beautifully and mysteriously, these liminal spaces suggest consciousness is less like a light switch and more like a dimmer, with infinite gradations between full brightness and complete darkness, each setting offering its own quality of illumination, its own kind of seeing. Some artists and musicians have discovered that lucid dreaming serves as a creative practice in its own right, not merely a source of inspiration, but an active medium for artistic exploration. Composers have reported hearing entire musical works during lucid dreams and transcribing them upon waking, Visual artists describe entering lucid states specifically to study dreamlight, dream color, dream composition, then translating those impossible palettes into physical artwork. Writers have walked through narrative landscapes in their dreams, experiencing stories from inside rather than observing them from outside. This creative use of lucid dreaming reveals that the boundary between imagination and direct experience dissolves when consciousness observes its own creative process in real time. Like an author stepping into the pages of a book and finding the characters already alive and waiting. Psychologists studying personal development suggest that lucid dreams serve as rehearsal spaces for authentic living. Within a lucid dream, you can practice difficult conversations, explore responses to challenging situations, try on different ways of being without any real-world consequences. Research from clinical psychology laboratories suggests this kind of dream rehearsal can build genuine confidence and skill that transfers to waking behavior. You become braver through having faced imagined fears. You become more articulate through having practiced difficult words in safe darkness. The dream serves as a stage where you can rehearse the life you want to live before the curtain rises on morning. Like an actor running lines in an empty theater, perfecting each gesture before the audience arrives. Somewhere near the center of any exploration of lucid dreaming, a pattern gently reveals itself. Waking and sleeping are not opposite states, but neighboring regions on a continuous landscape of consciousness. Awareness is not binary, not simply present or absent, but something fluid, something that can be configured in countless ways simultaneously. You can be deeply asleep yet aware. You can be dreaming yet thinking with clarity. These apparent contradictions are not contradictions at all, but demonstrations of how flexible consciousness truly is. The boundary between dreaming and waking is not a wall, but a wide meadow, crossable and inviting, filled with states you have barely begun to explore. Like discovering that a door you always assumed was locked was merely closed. Within a lucid dream, emotions arrive with surprising clarity and force. Joy, wonder, peace. Even fear can manifest with an intensity that matches or exceeds waking feeling. But lucid dreaming adds something unique and precious: the ability to experience emotion while simultaneously watching it unfold from a place of safety. You can feel sorrow while knowing this is a dream. You can encounter fear while maintaining the calm understanding that nothing here can truly reach you. This dual awareness, feeling and witnessing at the same time, creates possibilities for emotional understanding that exist nowhere else. Studies exploring lucid dreaming as therapy for recurring nightmares have found that this witnessing quality can transform terror into curiosity, helplessness into gentle agency, like learning to watch a storm from inside a lighthouse rather than standing exposed on the shore. In a remarkable series of experiments that redefined what scientists believed possible, researchers established two-way communication with dreamers during verified REM sleep. 4 independent laboratory groups across Europe and North America demonstrated that sleeping participants could receive questions from researchers through auditory cues or light flashes, process those questions within their dreams, and respond using pre-arranged eye movement signals. These dreamers solved simple math problems, answered yes or no questions, and distinguished between different stimuli, all while remaining deeply asleep by every physiological measure. This interactive dreaming reveals that the sleeping brain is not entirely sealed off from the waking world. that messages can cross the boundary between states of consciousness in both directions, like letters passed between two countries that share a quiet border, each written in a different language, yet somehow understood. Drift here with me for a moment. Let everything we have explored begin to settle like fresh snow falling on a quiet field at dusk. You have been listening to ideas about consciousness, about the nature of reality, about the flexibility of awareness. But right now, none of that needs to be held. Feel the air entering your body on each inhale, cool and clean and effortless. Feel it leaving on each exhale, slightly warmer, carrying away whatever tension still lingers in your chest. Your body continues its ancient work without any instruction from you. Heart beating, lungs filling and emptying, blood flowing to every distant cell. Trust that intelligence now. It has been keeping you alive since before you learned your own name. The thoughts that just passed through your awareness are already fading, like footprints in sand near the water's edge. Let them dissolve. You don't need them where you are going. Breathe in slowly, breathe out completely, and when you are ready, we continue. Now imagine that you could learn to enter this remarkable state of dreaming awareness intentionally, whenever you wished. Research consistently demonstrates that lucid dreaming is a learnable skill, while some people discover it naturally, arising without effort from ordinary sleep. Others develop the ability through specific practices and patient repetition. Recent meta-analyses covering studies from sleep laboratories around the world confirm that structured training significantly increases the frequency of lucid dreams for most people who genuinely attempt it. Some individuals achieve their first lucid dream within days of beginning practice. Others require weeks or months of gentle persistence. But for the majority, lucidity is accessible, a capacity that strengthens with repeated use, like a language that becomes more fluent the more you speak it, each word arriving more naturally than the one before. The foundation of many lucid dreaming approaches rests on a beautifully simple practice called reality testing. Throughout your waking day, you pause periodically to genuinely question whether you might be dreaming right now. You examine your surroundings with fresh attention. You try to push a finger through the palm of your other hand. You look at a line of text, glance away, then look back to see if the words have changed. The brilliance of this practice lies in its quiet transfer into sleep. Habits formed during waking hours reproduce themselves during dreams. When you habitually question the nature of your experience while awake, eventually that questioning surfaces inside a dream. Dream physics responds differently. Your finger passes through your palm. Text shifts and rearranges, and awareness blooms like a gentle light. The doorway to lucidity opens through a habit so subtle it feels like nothing at all. Like training your eyes to notice a color you always overlooked, until one morning you see it everywhere. The MILD technique, standing for mnemonic induction of lucid dreams, was developed through careful research at one of the world's leading sleep laboratories. Before falling asleep, you repeatedly and sincerely imagine yourself inside a recent dream. Reaching the exact moment where you realize you are dreaming, you form a clear, quiet intention. The next time I dream, I will recognize that I am dreaming. This intention planting uses prospective memory, the same mental faculty that helps you remember to stop for groceries on your way home. By rehearsing the moment of recognition before sleep, you prepare your sleeping mind to complete the task when the opportunity arises. Studies confirm MILD significantly increases lucidity frequency. especially when practiced during brief awakenings in the early morning hours. Like planting a seed in soil you have already softened with water, giving it the gentlest possible chance to grow. A technique called wake back to bed takes advantage of your brain's natural sleep architecture to position awareness at the ideal threshold. You sleep for several hours normally, then wake briefly during the window when your longest and most vivid REM periods occur, typically in the early morning. During this brief waking interval, you engage with lucid dreaming material, practice intention setting, or simply hold the quiet thought of becoming aware in your next dream. Then you return to sleep. Because you re-enter sleep during prime REM time with freshly activated meta-awareness, the probability of lucidity increases substantially. Research confirms this is one of the most effective single techniques available. You are strategically positioning your consciousness at the precise threshold where waking and dreaming meet, like arriving at a train platform just as the doors are opening, timing your awareness to board at the perfect moment, recording your dreams immediately upon waking. The gentle practice of dream journaling serves purposes that extend far beyond simple documentation. Writing down dreams strengthens your ability to recall them, which is a necessary foundation for lucidity. You cannot recognize a dream if you rarely remember having them. Journaling also familiarizes you with your personal dream landscape, the recurring themes, locations, characters, and emotional patterns that your sleeping mind tends to generate night after night. This familiarity becomes a recognition tool. When a familiar dream element appears, some quiet part of you notices and whispers, "I have seen this before. This might be a dream." Research demonstrates strong correlation between dream recall ability and lucid dream frequency. By honoring your dreams through the simple act of writing them down each morning, you are building a bridge between your waking and sleeping selves, one word at a time. Like learning to read a private language your own mind writes every night. Dream signs, the recurring elements that appear again and again across your personal dreamscape, become reliable guideposts toward awareness once you have identified them through patient journal review. Perhaps you frequently dream about a particular building, a certain quality of light, or situations where gravity behaves in unexpected ways. These are your unconscious mind's signature patterns, the particular images and scenarios it returns to, like a musician returning to a beloved melody. Once identified through journaling, you can set specific intentions tied to these personal signs. The next time I see that house, I will know I am dreaming. This personalized approach leverages your unique dream vocabulary rather than relying on generic techniques, like tuning an instrument to the specific resonance of the room where it will be played. Matching method to mind. Napping during the afternoon or early evening has emerged as an unexpectedly effective context for lucid dreaming practice. Research, published in 2024 by sleep scientists in Japan, found that short naps, particularly those taken after a period of moderate sleep deprivation, frequently produce vivid REM sleep and heightened meta-awareness. Because nap-based REM episodes often begin more quickly and feature lighter sleep architecture than nighttime REM, the conditions may naturally favor the kind of partial wakefulness that supports lucidity. Some practitioners specifically cultivate afternoon naps as low-pressure lucid dream practice sessions, using them as gentle opportunities to experiment with techniques before applying them to longer nighttime sleep, like sketching in pencil before committing to paint on canvas. Targeted memory reactivation. a technique where specific sensory cues presented during sleep trigger associated memories, has been adapted for lucid dreaming induction with promising early results. Researchers at Northwestern University demonstrated that playing particular sounds associated with lucidity training during REM sleep could increase the probability of lucid dreaming. The sleeping brain, despite appearing disconnected from the outside world, continues monitoring the environment for meaningful stimuli, a carefully chosen auditory cue, conditioned through waking practice to be associated with the question, "Am I dreaming?" can penetrate sleep and trigger the reality questioning process from within. Your sleeping mind receives a gentle reminder from the waking world, like receiving a letter from your daytime self that arrives at exactly the right moment to change everything. Applications designed to train cognitive skills associated with lucid dreaming have been developed and tested in controlled research settings with encouraging results. These programs typically combine daily reality testing reminders, prospective memory exercises, and metacognitive awareness training into structured practice schedules delivered through a phone or tablet. A 2025 study from a consortium of European sleep laboratories found that participants who used a validated cognitive training application for 4 weeks showed significantly increased lucid dream frequency compared to a control group using a placebo application. While technology alone rarely produces lucidity without genuine engagement, these tools provide structure and consistency that many practitioners find helpful, like having a patient guide who remembers to remind you to practice even when motivation quietly wavers. Research on binaural beats, auditory stimuli that present slightly different frequencies to each ear to produce a perceived beat frequency inside the brain, has produced mixed but intriguing results regarding lucid dreaming. Some studies suggest that specific binaural beat frequencies in the gamma range, delivered during REM sleep, may increase the likelihood of lucid dreaming by gently encouraging the frontoparietal cortex activation associated with lucid awareness. A 2023 study found modest but statistically significant increases in lucidity frequency among participants who listened to gamma-frequency binaural beats during sleep. However, other studies have not replicated these effects consistently. The field remains in early stages, with further research needed to determine whether sound alone can reliably serve as a bridge to dream awareness, like testing whether a particular wind can dependably carry seeds to fertile ground. Prospective memory, the ability to remember to perform intended actions at specific future moments, appears to be one of the core cognitive capacities underlying lucid dreaming. Researchers at the University of Lincoln found that training prospective memory during waking hours through exercises that require noticing specific environmental cues and performing particular responses significantly increases lucid dream frequency. This connection makes intuitive sense. Becoming lucid in a dream is essentially an act of prospective memory, remembering during the future moment of dreaming that you had intended to notice you were inside a dream. By strengthening this general cognitive capacity through daily practice, you improve the specific application of it during sleep, like strengthening your legs for a particular climb by walking varied terrain every ordinary day. Communities of lucid dreamers who practice together, sharing techniques, comparing experiences, and supporting one another through dry spells, report higher lucidity rates than isolated practitioners working alone. Social dreaming groups, both online and meeting in person, have grown significantly in recent years. Research from social psychology suggests this effect occurs through multiple pathways. accountability, shared knowledge, normalized expectations, and the simple encouragement of knowing others have reached what you are working toward. Dreaming might feel like the most private activity imaginable, yet the social dimension of practice genuinely matters. Learning feels less daunting when others walk beside you on the same path, like lanterns carried by fellow travelers, making the road ahead a little brighter. The relationship between aging and lucid dreaming capacity shifts across the lifespan in ways researchers are still carefully mapping. Young people, particularly adolescents, tend to report relatively high rates of spontaneous lucidity, possibly related to brain plasticity during development and more fluid boundaries between imagination and waking reality. Lucidity frequency appears to decrease somewhat during middle adulthood, potentially reflecting increased cognitive rigidity and decreased engagement with inner experience. However, older adults who begin deliberate practice can develop lucid dreaming skills effectively, suggesting the capacity remains accessible throughout an entire lifetime. Your consciousness does not lose its flexibility with age. It simply needs invitation and gentle practice to remember what it has always known. Like a musician who hasn't played in years, finding the melody still lives quietly in their fingers. Indigenous cultures across the world have maintained sophisticated dream practices for millennia that overlap remarkably with modern lucid dreaming techniques developed independently in Western laboratories. Australian Aboriginal dream traditions, Tibetan Buddhist dream yoga, and various Native American dream practices all include methods for cultivating conscious awareness within sleep. Research in anthropology and consciousness studies published in recent years has begun documenting these traditions with increasing scientific rigor, finding that many traditional techniques parallel methods developed through contemporary sleep research, reality testing, intention setting, and dream journaling all have analogues in practices thousands of years old. Contemporary lucid dreaming exists within a much older lineage of human curiosity about the dreaming mind, like a young river joining a vast ocean that has been receiving tributaries since before recorded history began. The wild technique, in which you maintain continuous awareness through the transition from waking into dreaming, approaches lucidity from the opposite direction as most other methods. Rather than recognizing you are dreaming after a dream has already formed, you observe the dream assembling itself around you while maintaining an unbroken thread of consciousness. You lie still, allowing your body to fall asleep while keeping a quiet witness active in your mind. Hypnagogic imagery begins to appear, patterns and colors and half-formed scenes drifting across your inner vision. Physical sensations shift and change. If you can observe all of this without interfering, without grasping at the images or tensing against the strangeness, you ride the transition directly into a lucid dream without ever losing awareness. It is perhaps the most challenging technique, but produces remarkable clarity of experience, like diving into deep water from a great height, requiring trust and surrender in equal measure. Meditation practice and lucid dreaming frequency share a relationship so consistent that researchers now consider metacognitive awareness the connecting thread between them. People who meditate regularly, particularly those practicing mindfulness meditation, report more frequent lucid dreams than non-meditators. Both practices involve the same fundamental skill, stepping back from the stream of experience to observe it rather than being carried along by its current. Mindfulness meditation cultivates this observational stance during waking hours. Lucid dreaming is essentially the same stance occurring during sleep. Research from contemplative neuroscience reveals that meditators and frequent lucid dreamers share similar patterns of brain activation in regions associated with self-monitoring and metacognition. The practices strengthen one another, each making the other more natural and more accessible, like two paths that wind around opposite sides of the same mountain and meet at the summit. The influence of expectation on lucid dreaming probability is surprisingly powerful and well documented in research literature. Studies on expectancy effects show that genuinely believing you will have a lucid dream tonight significantly increases the likelihood that you will. This is not magical thinking, but a demonstration of how cognitive priming works within the sleeping brain. When your mind expects something, it becomes more prepared to notice evidence of it, more ready to activate the relevant neural circuits at the right moment. If you fall asleep expecting lucidity, your sleeping mind is primed for that possibility, alert to the cues that might trigger awareness. Expectation creates a kind of readiness that gently lowers the threshold for recognition, like expecting a friend's arrival and finding yourself noticing approaching footsteps you might otherwise have entirely ignored. The combination of multiple techniques typically produces better results than relying on any single method in isolation. Research suggests that approaches addressing different aspects of the lucidity challenge simultaneously. Habit formation through reality testing, memory strengthening through journaling, timing optimization through wake back to bed, intention setting through MILD, create complementary pathways toward the same remarkable destination. Each technique supports the others in ways that multiply their individual effects. Dream journaling improves dream sign recognition, which improves reality testing, which strengthens the intention behind mild practice. Together, these practices build a comprehensive relationship with your sleeping consciousness, engaging it from multiple angles at once, like weaving a rope from many individual threads, each one adding strength and resilience to the whole. Dream incubation, the practice of focusing on a specific topic or question before sleep with the intention of dreaming about it, can be combined with lucidity techniques to create particularly meaningful dream experiences. Before sleep, you hold a question gently in your awareness, something you wish to explore or understand more deeply. You then additionally set an intention to become lucid during the resulting dream. Research shows this combination can produce lucid dreams that address your intended topic with surprising depth, creating a kind of directed inner exploration guided by both conscious intention and unconscious wisdom. You are inviting your sleeping mind to illuminate a particular corner of experience while maintaining the awareness to observe what it reveals. Like asking a question in a quiet room and then listening carefully for the echo. Research on lucid dreaming and sleep quality reveals a nuanced relationship that requires careful understanding. Studies using polysomnography, measuring actual sleep architecture in controlled laboratory settings, confirm that naturally occurring lucid dreams do not disrupt normal sleep patterns or reduce the quality of rest. However, intensive practice of certain induction techniques, particularly methods involving repeated, deliberate awakenings or excessive mental effort before sleep, can sometimes fragment rest. The essential principle is approaching lucidity with gentle curiosity rather than achievement pressure, allowing awareness to emerge naturally within good sleep hygiene, rather than forcing it at the expense of the very sleep that makes dreaming possible. Balanced, patient practice supports both rest and awareness together, like tending a garden where the flowers bloom on their own schedule rather than yours. understanding that lucid dreaming is a learnable, natural brain state removes unnecessary mysticism and empowers genuine practice. You are not attempting to access some supernatural realm or develop paranormal abilities beyond ordinary human capacity. You are simply learning to recognize a naturally occurring brain state. REM sleep with partial frontal activation, and to respond to it with awareness rather than passive immersion. This demystification makes lucid dreaming accessible to anyone willing to practice patiently. You don't need special gifts or unusual talents. You need information about how sleep works, techniques that align with sleep neurobiology, and consistent, gentle effort. The extraordinary emerges from understanding and working with perfectly ordinary processes, like discovering that water, something you encounter every day, can become a mirror when it finally grows still. Some experienced lucid dreamers describe how their relationship with the practice evolves profoundly over months and years of regular exploration. Initial fascination with adventure and control, the flying and world-building that excited them early on, gradually gives way to a quieter appreciation of what lucid dreaming reveals about the nature of mind itself. The spectacular experiences become less important than the simple act of being present and aware within a dream, observing consciousness doing what it does without any interference. This evolution mirrors patterns commonly seen in long-term contemplative practice, a natural movement from doing to being, from seeking extraordinary experiences to recognizing the extraordinariness of ordinary awareness. The practice deepens not by becoming more dramatic, but by becoming more subtle, like listening to music you know well and gradually hearing harmonies you missed the first 100 times through. Sleep stage awareness. The ability to recognize what stage of sleep you are currently in as you transition through the night has emerged as a distinct supporting skill for lucid dreaming development. Some practitioners develop sensitivity to the subtle shifts in consciousness that occur as they move from light sleep into deeper stages and eventually into REM. This meta-awareness of sleep itself appears to create additional windows where lucidity can quietly emerge. A 2025 study from the Netherlands found that participants who received training in recognizing sleep stage transitions showed increased lucid dream frequency, even without any specific lucid dreaming induction techniques being taught. Once awareness is invited, it tends to spread naturally through experience like warmth through a cold room, gradually reaching corners you never knew existed. Patience emerges from every study on lucid dream development as the quality that matters more than any individual technique or combination of methods. Developing lucidity often involves gradual, non-linear progress with unexpected plateaus and breakthroughs. You might first notice improved dream recall, then occasional brief flashes of awareness that dissolve immediately, then unstable lucidity lasting only seconds, then gradually longer and clearer episodes over weeks and months. Studies of long-term practitioners consistently reveal this progression. Attempting to force or rush the process often backfires, creating sleep anxiety that disrupts the very rest needed for dreaming to occur. A gentle, curious, pressure-free approach works better than any amount of determination. You are cultivating a relationship with your sleeping consciousness, and meaningful relationships develop through consistent, patient attention rather than urgency, like tending a garden where the most beautiful flowers bloom only when they are ready. Personal motivation shapes the trajectory of lucid dreaming practice in ways that research has only recently begun to clarify. Studies consistently show that people motivated by genuine curiosity by open wonder about the nature of consciousness. Achieve lucidity more readily than those driven by desire for escape or urgent need for control. Approaching lucid dreaming as playful exploration rather than desperate achievement creates internal conditions that favor both restful sleep and the gentle emergence of awareness within it. Your sleeping mind appears to respond to emotional tone more than to effort. Anxiety about performance creates arousal that fragments rest. Open curiosity creates the relaxed attention that allows sleep and lucidity to coexist peacefully, like holding a butterfly gently enough that it stays, softly enough that it doesn't fear your hand. Now rest here for a moment. Let the ideas about practice and technique dissolve into comfortable silence. You don't need to remember any methods tonight. You don't need to plan or prepare anything. The very awareness that has been listening to these words already knows how to dream. It does it every single night, without instruction or effort. Feel how your body has been holding itself this whole time, faithfully, patiently, without asking for your attention or your gratitude. Notice the places where weight meets surface, where skin meets the cool air around you. There is warmth where your blood flows close beneath the surface, and coolness where the night air touches you. You are a body being breathed. You are a mind being dreamed. You don't need to do anything about either of those things. Let the silence between these words grow a little wider now, a little deeper, like the space between stars, vast and peaceful and full of quiet possibility. One more slow breath, and then we drift onward together. Now we explore what unfolds inside the dreaming brain when awareness quietly rekindles. Modern neuroimaging provides unprecedented views of these transitions. Using fMRI scanning and high-density EEG monitoring during verified lucid dreams, researchers can now observe the precise moment when someone becomes conscious inside a dream. The central finding is that during lucid REM sleep, activity increases in specific frontal regions and in the precuneus, areas associated with self-reflection and metacognition. These regions normally show reduced activity during ordinary dreaming, which is precisely why non-lucid dreams feel so convincingly real. Why you accept impossible situations without a trace of doubt. When they reactivate while sleep continues undisturbed, awareness returns to the dreaming mind, like a lantern being quietly lit inside a room you didn't realize was dark. The frontopolar cortex, positioned at the very front of your brain behind your forehead, functions as a coordinator of complex and abstract thought. During waking life, this region helps you step back from immediate experience and evaluate it with distance. Am I making a good decision? Is this situation what it appears to be during ordinary dreaming? This coordinator falls entirely silent. You become immersed in dream experience without any capacity to question its nature. But during lucid dreaming, this region reactivates. While you remain biologically asleep, the coordinator returns to work within the dream, allowing you to observe your experience even as it continues flowing around you. You gain the remarkable ability to be simultaneously participant and witness, like an actor who becomes aware of the audience while remaining fully in character on stage. The precuneus, nestled deep within the parietal lobe near the center of your brain, appears central to maintaining the feeling of being a self, of experiencing reality from your own unique and irreplaceable perspective. Research from multiple international laboratories suggests that the strength of precuneus activation during lucid dreaming correlates directly with the clarity of self-awareness in the dream. Stronger activation produces clearer lucidity, a firmer sense that this is my dream and I know it with certainty. Weaker activation corresponds to that fragile, flickering awareness, where you almost recognize you are dreaming, but the knowledge keeps dissolving before you can hold it. This small structure appears to be the anchor point for conscious identity within the sleeping brain, like a single steady star by which sailors have always navigated, small and constant amid the vast surrounding darkness. Gamma wave activity. Brain oscillations in the 40 to 100 Hz range. Increases significantly during lucid REM sleep compared to non-lucid REM sleep. Studies using high-density EEG, published in leading neuroscience journals throughout 2024 and 2025, consistently show this gamma increase, particularly in frontal and temporal brain regions. Gamma waves are associated with conscious awareness, focused attention, and the binding together of different aspects of experience into unified, coherent perception. During waking consciousness, gamma activity helps integrate sight, sound, touch, emotion, and thought into seamless moments of experience. During lucid dreaming, elevated gamma might serve the same integrative function, binding together the meta-awareness that you are dreaming with the dream experience itself, creating that unique dual consciousness, like two voices discovering they can sing in harmony rather than separately. Theta wave oscillations. Rhythmic brain activity in the 4 to 8 Hz range play a role in lucid dreaming that researchers are only beginning to fully appreciate. Theta waves are associated with memory processing, emotional regulation, and the generation of vivid internal imagery. During REM sleep, theta activity is naturally prominent. Recent studies from research groups in Germany and Australia suggest that the precise interaction between theta oscillations and faster gamma waves during lucid dreaming creates a distinctive neural signature, a combination not observed in either ordinary dreaming or ordinary waking. This interplay might facilitate the coexistence of dream state imagery and waking type awareness within the same sleeping brain, like two different rhythms finding a synchronized pulse that neither could sustain on its own. The default mode network, a constellation of interconnected brain regions active during mind wandering, daydreaming, and self-referential thought, behaves in distinctive ways during lucid dreaming. In ordinary waking rest, this network is highly active. During focused attention, its activity decreases. During non-lucid dreaming, its patterns resemble waking mind wandering. But during lucid dreaming, the default mode network shows a unique configuration, partially active but modulated by frontal executive regions that are typically quiet during sleep. Research published in 2025 suggests this reconfigured default mode network might be responsible for the lucid dreamer's maintained sense of narrative self within the dream. The persistent feeling of, I know who I am and I know this is a dream, holding steady through changing dream scenes, like a quiet current beneath shifting surface waves. During REM sleep, levels of norepinephrine, a neurotransmitter associated with alertness, focused attention, and the body's arousal response, drop to their lowest point of any sleep stage. This suppression is one of the defining features of REM and contributes to both the emotional intensity of dreams and the reduced critical judgment that allows bizarre dream content to pass entirely unquestioned. Research from neuropharmacology laboratories suggests that during lucid dreaming, norepinephrine suppression may be slightly less complete than during ordinary REM, creating a neurochemical environment that permits just enough analytical capacity to emerge without disrupting sleep itself. Your brain chemistry creates a delicate balance, suppressed enough for vivid dreaming, alert enough for quiet awareness, like adjusting the flame of a lamp to produce exactly the right amount of gentle light. Thalamic gating mechanisms. The processes by which the thalamus filters sensory information flowing between your body and your cortex show altered patterns during lucid dreaming. During ordinary sleep, the thalamus largely blocks external sensory input from reaching conscious awareness, creating the sensory isolation necessary for dreaming to occur. During waking, the gates are wide open, allowing the full flood of sensory data through. Research suggests that during lucid dreaming, thalamic gating adopts an intermediate configuration, partially filtering external input while simultaneously allowing internally generated dream sensations to flow freely through the system. This hybrid gating might explain how lucid dreamers can sometimes incorporate external stimuli into their dreams while maintaining the dream state itself, like a window left slightly open, allowing a gentle breeze to enter without letting the storm inside. Acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter deeply involved in learning, memory formation, and the regulation of REM sleep, appears particularly important for enabling the specific brain state of lucid dreaming. REM sleep features naturally elevated acetylcholine levels, which support the vivid sensory experiences and rapid neural activity characteristic of the dreaming state. Studies from pharmacology research suggest that optimal acetylcholine levels may facilitate the precise combination of brain region activations needed for lucidity, helping frontal regions gently reactivate while REM sleep architecture remains intact and undisturbed. The neurochemical conditions that allow awareness to persist within dreaming represent one of the most elegant balancing acts your brain performs. A chemical composition so precise that tiny shifts in concentration change the entire quality of consciousness. Like a single note altering the character of an entire chord, lucidity appears to exist along a spectrum rather than as a simple binary switch between aware and unaware. Some dreams feature only partial lucidity. You might sense something dreamlike about your experience without fully grasping that you are inside a dream. Others feature clear lucidity but limited ability to influence the dream. Still others combine full, bright awareness with remarkable capacity to shape the dream environment through intention. Research from sleep laboratories suggests these different experiences correspond to different patterns and degrees of frontal cortex reactivation occurring simultaneously with REM sleep. Full, stable lucidity requires a specific constellation of brain activations, all occurring at once, while sleep continues undisturbed. This explains the common fragility of lucidity, why it can fade in and out like a distant radio signal, why maintaining it requires a balance as delicate as walking a narrow ridge, where the view is extraordinary, but each step requires careful attention. The insula, a cortical structure buried deep within the lateral fissure of the brain, plays a crucial role in body awareness, emotional processing, and the feeling of being embodied. Recent neuroimaging studies have revealed that insular activation during lucid dreaming differs from both ordinary REM sleep and waking consciousness in distinctive ways. During lucid dreams, the insula appears to process body sensations that are entirely internally generated, creating the convincing feeling of having a body, of breathing, of moving through space. without any actual physical sensation occurring. This internally constructed body awareness may contribute to the stability of the lucid dream, providing an anchor of embodied selfhood that keeps the dreamer grounded within the experience. Like roots holding a tree steady while its branches sway freely in changing winds, the anterior cingulate cortex, positioned along the medial surface of the frontal lobe, participates in error monitoring, conflict detection, and the regulation of attention. During ordinary dreaming, this region shows reduced activity, which may explain why dreamers rarely notice the logical impossibilities that fill their dream worlds. Research from a 2024 study using high-density EEG found that anterior cingulate activity increases significantly during the transition from non-lucid to lucid dreaming, suggesting this region may be responsible for the initial detection that something is wrong, that something doesn't fit, that this might be a dream after all. The anterior cingulate appears to function as a quiet alarm system that can occasionally activate during sleep, noticing discrepancies that the rest of the sleeping brain has accepted without question. Like a gentle voice in a crowd that notices what everyone else has quietly overlooked. The interaction between slow oscillations, the large, sweeping brain waves that characterize deep sleep, and sleep spindles, brief bursts of higher frequency activity, appears to create conditions that influence dreaming capacity throughout the entire night. While lucid dreaming primarily occurs during REM sleep, rather than during the deep sleep stages, where slow oscillations dominate. Research from a 2025 collaborative study suggests that the quality and organization of slow oscillation and spindle coupling during earlier sleep stages may set the neurological groundwork for lucid dreaming during subsequent REM periods. Well-organized deep sleep may prepare the brain for the kind of flexible, multifaceted consciousness that lucidity requires later in the night, like the careful rehearsal before a performance, invisible to the audience but essential to everything that follows. Brain connectivity, the communication pathways linking different neural regions, reconfigures distinctively during lucid dreaming. Advanced neuroimaging reveals increased dialogue between frontal executive areas and posterior sensory processing regions compared to ordinary dreaming states. This enhanced communication allows the aware, analytical frontal cortex to observe and sometimes gently influence the creative, generative posterior regions that construct dream content. You create an internal feedback loop, the parts of your brain that build experience and the parts that evaluate experience entering into real-time conversation within the sleeping mind. This internal dialogue exists nowhere else in mental life, a collaboration between brain systems that normally take turns rather than working simultaneously. Like two musicians from different traditions hearing each other play for the first time and discovering they share the same underlying melody. The temporoparietal junction, a brain area involved in distinguishing self from other and in the sense of personal agency, shows distinctive activation during lucid dreaming that differentiates it from ordinary dream states. This region helps maintain the feeling that you are the active dreamer, the one making choices and directing attention within the dream, rather than a passive observer swept along by uncontrollable events. Research suggests that when temporoparietal junction activity is strong during lucid dreams, the sense of intentional action within the dream is correspondingly strong. When it weakens, lucidity becomes more passive, more purely observational. This region appears to provide the neural basis for one of lucid dreaming's most important qualities: the experience of being an agent, a chooser, a self with purpose inside a world made entirely of mind. Like the helmsman of a ship who steers not by sight alone, but by feeling the quiet currents through the hull. Interoception, the brain's awareness of internal body states, such as heartbeat, breathing rhythm, gut sensations, and temperature, operates in a unique mode during lucid dreaming. Research from the University of Sussex, published in 2025, found that experienced lucid dreamers show enhanced interoceptive accuracy both within dreams and during waking life. Inside lucid dreams, interoceptive signals appear to be generated internally by the brain rather than arising from actual physiological states. Yet they feel entirely authentic, contributing to the convincing sensation of being fully embodied within the dream world. This internally constructed body awareness may serve as an anchor for lucid consciousness, providing something stable and familiar to return to when the dream environment shifts and changes around you. Your brain creates a phantom body that feels completely real, and that felt body becomes the quiet foundation on which lucid awareness builds. Like a hearth fire that keeps the center of a house warm while the world outside changes with every passing season. The balance of neurotransmitters during lucid dreaming involves a complex orchestra of chemicals acting in precise and delicate coordination. Beyond acetylcholine and norepinephrine, dopamine plays a crucial role in driving the narrative intensity and emotional coloring of dream experience. Serotonin levels, which drop during REM sleep, may contribute to the reduced reality monitoring that allows dreams to feel so convincingly real. The exact neurochemical recipe for lucid dreaming remains under active investigation, but current evidence suggests it requires a specific balance. Enough REM-supporting chemistry to maintain sleep and vivid dreaming, but with precise modulations that allow frontal cortex reactivation without disrupting the dream state. Your sleeping brain maintains this balance through mechanisms refined over millions of years of evolutionary development. A chemical symphony so intricate that adjusting any single instrument changes the entire composition. Like a recipe where the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is measured in drops. The transition into lucid dreaming can follow different neural pathways, each producing its own distinct brain signature and quality of experience. In one pathway, you are already dreaming when something triggers awareness, a bizarre element, a practiced reality check, a subtle feeling that something isn't quite right. The neural transition involves gradual frontopolar cortex reactivation within ongoing REM sleep. In another pathway, consciousness is maintained continuously through the entire transition from waking into sleep, awareness persisting as the dream builds itself around you, like scenery assembling on a stage. These two routes produce subtly different experiences of lucidity and involve different patterns of brain state management. Yet both arrive at the same remarkable destination: consciousness observing its own dreams, self-awareness flowering within sleep, like two rivers originating from different mountains and meeting at last in the same peaceful valley. Sleep spindles, brief bursts of sigma-frequency brain activity occurring during lighter sleep stages, may help prepare the brain for lucid dreaming in ways that researchers are still actively uncovering. People who exhibit more frequent sleep spindles tend to report more lucid dreams across their lifetime. These spindles appear to play roles in protecting sleep from environmental disruption, consolidating newly formed memories and facilitating smooth transitions between sleep stages. Recent research suggests they might also help stabilize the brain state during the complex transition into lucid REM, creating a neurological buffer that allows frontal reactivation without triggering full awakening. Your brain has evolved elegant mechanisms for managing different states of consciousness, and lucidity may represent a natural though rare use of those mechanisms. Like a particular alignment of planets that occurs infrequently but follows precisely the same laws that govern all celestial motion. Research using structural brain imaging has revealed that people who frequently experience spontaneous lucid dreams tend to show certain anatomical characteristics in their frontopolar cortex and associated regions. While these studies remain ongoing and their precise implications are still debated, they suggest that both innate differences in brain structure and repeated lucid dreaming experience may contribute to individual variations in lucidity frequency. The relationship appears bidirectional. Genetic predisposition may create initial brain features that support lucidity, while repeated lucid dreaming may strengthen the relevant neural networks through experience-dependent plasticity over time. Your brain is not a fixed structure, but a living system, continuously shaped by what you practice and what you attend to. Each lucid dream potentially strengthening the very circuits that made it possible. Like a path through a forest that becomes easier to walk the more frequently it is traveled. The concept of metacognition, the capacity for thinking about your own thinking, appears central to the phenomenon of lucid dreaming. Metacognitive abilities during waking life correlate reliably with lucid dream frequency across multiple studies. People who are naturally more reflective, who frequently step back and observe their own thoughts and behaviors with curiosity, tend to experience more frequent lucid dreams. This connection makes intuitive sense. Lucidity is essentially metacognition during sleep, observing your dream thoughts and experiences rather than simply being carried along by them. If your brain is well practiced at this observational stance while awake, it might more naturally adopt that same stance during sleep, recognizing dreams for what they are with greater ease and reliability. Like a mirror that has been polished through years of careful use, reflecting more clearly than one that has gathered dust. Working memory capacity. Your ability to hold and actively manipulate information in conscious awareness relates meaningfully to lucid dreaming ability. Better working memory correlates with higher lucidity frequency and more stable, longer-lasting lucid dreams. This relationship makes sense given that maintaining lucidity requires holding multiple things in awareness simultaneously. The ongoing dream experience itself, the meta-knowledge that you are dreaming, often an intention to do something specific within the dream, and sometimes a memory of techniques for stabilizing the lucid state when it begins to waver. Juggling all these elements while your brain is fundamentally operating in a sleep state designed for reduced cognitive effort is a remarkable cognitive feat. Like keeping several delicate objects balanced in the air while standing in a wind that keeps trying to gently blow you over. After experiencing even one lucid dream, many people report that their relationship with sleep itself shifts in subtle but lasting ways. Sleep becomes less like a passive void, less like an absence of experience, and more like an explorable territory with its own landscapes and qualities of awareness. The boundary between waking and sleeping begins to feel less absolute, more like a spectrum of consciousness with many gradations and many possible stopping points. According to long-term studies of regular lucid dreamers, repeated experiences of lucidity can reduce fear of sleep and darkness, increase feelings of inner agency, and foster a sustained sense of wonder about the nature of consciousness itself. That initial moment of lucidity opens a quiet door to understanding mind in ways that remain available long after the dream has ended. Like a single candle flame that, once lit, reveals how much of the room was always there, waiting in the dark. The question of what enables that first moment of recognition, that quiet arrival of awareness within the dream, leads naturally to the physical machinery of the brain. Something in your sleeping neural architecture shifts, allowing a part of your mind that usually rests during dreams to gently reactivate while sleep continues. This shift is not random. It follows specific neurological patterns that researchers have mapped with increasing precision using advanced brain imaging technology. Understanding these patterns transforms lucid dreaming from mysterious anomaly into comprehensible brain state, one that follows the same laws of neural activity as every other form of consciousness your mind produces. Like discovering that what seemed like magic is actually a different kind of science, no less beautiful for being understood. Drift here with me for one final quiet moment. Let the neuroscience dissolve. Let the brain regions and neurotransmitters return to being simply part of you, quietly doing their work without needing names. Everything we have discussed tonight lives inside you right now. The frontopolar cortex, the precuneus, the thalamus, the insula. They are not abstractions in a textbook. They are soft, warm, living structures nested inside the skull that rests on your pillow at this very moment. Right now, those structures are doing exactly what they do, processing these final words, generating gentle thought, preparing for sleep. They need no guidance from your conscious mind. Feel the heaviness of your eyelids. Feel the softness of the darkness behind your closed eyes. You are so close to sleep now, so close to the very states we have been quietly exploring together. One final breath, and we continue into the last gentle stretch of our journey. Have you ever suddenly become aware, mid-dream, that everything surrounding you was created by your own sleeping mind? That strange, quiet moment when recognition arrives not as a thought, but as a shift in the quality of experience itself. Research from major international sleep laboratories indicates that roughly 55% of people encounter this experience at least once during their lifetime. Awareness visiting the dream does not mean waking up. It means something stranger and more beautiful than waking. You remain fully asleep, your body resting and still. Yet somewhere inside that sleeping brain, a quiet light of recognition switches on. Like dawn arriving inside a room whose windows face only inward. The sensation of becoming lucid varies between individuals, yet certain patterns appear consistently across research interviews conducted in multiple languages and cultures. Some people describe it as seeing through a thin curtain, the dream world becoming slightly translucent, as if you could almost sense the sleeping room behind the imagery. Others feel a gentle pulse of clarity, as if a fog has lifted from part of their awareness, while the rest remains comfortably asleep. Studies from European sleep laboratories have documented these descriptions across diverse populations, finding common experiential threads that transcend background and belief. Many dreamers report a moment where the dream seems to pause, becoming perfectly still, as if reality itself is holding its breath. You find yourself present in two states at once, the one who dreams and the one who recognizes the dreaming, both occupying the same mind in the same instant. like hearing two melodies playing simultaneously and recognizing both as your own. The initial trigger for lucidity often begins with something feeling subtly incorrect within the dream. Perhaps a room contains more doors than it should, or you find yourself having a conversation with someone whose face keeps gently shifting between different people you know. Your sleeping mind encounters a detail that doesn't follow the rules of waking experience. Cognitive science research describes this as a reality testing moment. Your brain, even during deep sleep, retains some capacity to notice inconsistencies in the fabric of experience. When enough of these small inconsistencies accumulate past a certain threshold, something remarkable occurs. A region of your brain that normally sleeps during dreams, the part responsible for self-awareness and critical evaluation, begins to quietly reactivate. That is the moment of lucidity. Awareness recognizing itself within its own creation, like a painter stepping back from a canvas and realizing for the first time that the painting has become alive. What makes lucidity so extraordinary is that standard neuroscience long suggested it should be impossible. During normal REM sleep, the brain regions responsible for critical thinking and self-reflection are largely offline. This is precisely why ordinary dreams feel so convincingly real. Why you accept them without any question. Why you don't notice that you're flying above cities or having dinner with people who passed away years ago. The analytical mind is essentially sleeping alongside you. But during lucid dreaming, neuroimaging confirms that these critical regions somehow reactivate while you remain biologically asleep by every measurable standard. You gain the ability to think, to evaluate, to recognize the dream for exactly what it is. Without waking up, consciousness operates simultaneously in two modes that should exclude each other, like discovering you can breathe peacefully underwater while knowing that water fills your lungs. The first moments after becoming lucid often feel delicate and uncertain, as if the dream might dissolve at any instant. Many experienced lucid dreamers describe a sensation of standing on shifting ground, reality flickering between solid and transparent. This instability makes perfect neurological sense. Your brain is attempting to sustain two contradictory states at once: the deep relaxation and reduced analysis of REM sleep, and the focused self-awareness of waking consciousness. Research suggests these states compete for dominance within the sleeping brain, each one pulling in its own direction. The dream pulls toward passive observation. Awareness pushes toward active engagement. Learning to balance between these forces, neither surrendering awareness nor grasping it too tightly, is one of the skills that deepens naturally with practice. Like learning to balance on calm water, discovering gradually that stillness works much better than struggle. Experienced lucid dreamers who have learned to stabilize their awareness within dreams often describe the visual quality as exceeding anything waking sight has ever offered them. Colors appear more saturated, more luminous, as if lit from within. Details seem impossibly sharp and intricate. Dream environments can feel more present than physical reality, with a depth and clarity that ordinary perception rarely achieves. Research suggests this enhanced vividness occurs because the visual cortex is freed from the constraints of actual sensory input. During waking life, what you see is limited by the physical properties of light and matter. In dreams, the visual cortex can generate anything without those constraints. When lucid awareness adds conscious attention to this unbounded creativity, the result can be landscapes of quiet, staggering beauty. worlds painted in colors that exist in no spectrum. Like walking through an art gallery that extends forever in every direction. Touch sensations in lucid dreams can feel astonishingly authentic and detailed. Running your fingertips along a dream surface, you feel texture with remarkable fidelity. The roughness of old stone, the smoothness of polished glass, the coolness of metal in shadow. Brain imaging confirms that the same sensory processing areas activate during dream touch as during actual physical contact. Your mind generates tactile hallucinations so convincing that your nervous system responds as if the contact were genuinely occurring. Some lucid dreamers report that dream touch can exceed waking sensation in subtlety and range. Perhaps because the brain can adjust the intensity of any sensation without physical limits. You feel what has never been touched. Experience textures that exist nowhere in the physical world. Like reaching through a mirror and discovering that the glass has become warm silk beneath your fingers. Sound in lucid dreams presents a beautiful paradox. You hear music, voices, rainfall, footsteps on stone, wind moving through leaves. Yet your ears receive no sound waves at all. Your auditory cortex generates these perceptions entirely from memory and imagination, activating the same neural pathways that process real sound during waking hours. Research from neuroscience laboratories indicates that dream sounds can be remarkably complex and detailed, with some lucid dreamers reporting the ability to summon specific familiar songs or create entirely original compositions within the dream. The dream becomes a concert hall where you are simultaneously composer, performer, and audience. The silence of your sleeping room contrasts with the rich soundscape playing inside your mind. Two realities existing at the same moment, each equally real in its own domain. Like two parallel worlds separated by nothing more than the thin membrane between sleeping and waking. Emotional experience within lucid dreams can arrive with an intensity that surprises even the most experienced dreamers. Joy, peace, awe, curiosity, and even fear can manifest with a vividness that equals or exceeds anything waking life has produced. The difference is that lucid dreaming adds a witnessing quality. You can feel the emotion fully while simultaneously knowing you are safe inside a dream. This creates a unique emotional space. Intense yet held, powerful yet not overwhelming. Research exploring this quality suggests it may be why some therapists are investigating lucid dreaming as a tool for processing difficult emotions and building inner resilience. Using the dream as a protected space where feelings can be met with open awareness rather than reflexive avoidance. Like learning to stand in rain and discovering with surprise that it is warm. The sensation of inhabiting a body in a lucid dream, of existing as an embodied presence within the dream world, is one of the most stable and fundamental elements of the experience. Even when everything else shifts and changes around you, the feeling of having a form, of possessing hands, a face, the capacity to move and perceive, almost always persists. Embodied cognition research suggests this reflects how deeply identity is tied to body awareness at the most fundamental neurological level. Your sense of self depends on feeling embodied, even when that body is entirely constructed by your sleeping brain. In lucid dreams, you exist as awareness, wearing the shape of a person. Consciousness experiencing itself through a form that feels solid and warm, yet is made of nothing but thought. Like a sculpture made of light that casts shadows as if it were carved from stone. Dream architecture in lucid dreams can produce structures of impossible beauty and wonderfully strange logic. Lucid dreamers report exploring buildings whose rooms open seamlessly into other buildings. Staircases that spiral in directions geometry doesn't permit. Corridors that widen as you walk through them until they become open meadows. A 2024 study from the architecture department at Delft University of Technology interviewed frequent lucid dreamers about spatial experiences in their dreams and found consistent reports of spaces that combine familiar architectural elements in novel, physics-defying configurations. Dream buildings seem to draw from spatial memory but are unconstrained by physical law, creating environments that your waking mind could never construct, yet your sleeping mind produces with effortless grace. Like walking through a cathedral whose walls are made of twilight and whose ceiling is the open sky. Weather in lucid dreams carries emotional significance that weather in waking life rarely achieves. Dream rain can feel like cleansing rather than inconvenience. Dream sunlight can carry a warmth that reaches somewhere deeper than skin, deeper than muscle, into something that feels like the center of you. Some lucid dreamers report that the weather in their dreams responds directly to their emotional state, shifting from overcast to clear as their mood lifts, producing soft snowfall during moments of particular inner peace. Research into dream phenomenology suggests this weather-emotion link reflects how completely dreams integrate sensory experience with feeling. In the dream world, inner and outer are not separate. The sky becomes a mirror of the mind, like standing inside your own emotions and watching them become landscape all around you. The sensation of smell in lucid dreams, while less commonly reported than visual or auditory experience, can arrive with startling clarity when it does appear. Dream sense seem to bypass ordinary cognitive processing and connect directly to emotion and deep memory. Lucid dreamers have described smelling childhood homes, ocean air in summer, specific flowers from years ago, and other scents tied to profoundly personal associations. Olfactory neuroscience suggests that because smell is processed through brain regions closely linked to the hippocampus and amygdala, dream scents may serve as uniquely powerful anchors within the lucid experience, connecting the dreaming self to stored experiences in ways that vision and hearing alone cannot easily achieve. Like a single familiar scent, opening a quiet doorway to an entire lifetime of remembered moments. The experience of language and communication in lucid dreams reveals fascinating dimensions of how the sleeping brain processes meaning. Conversations with dream characters can feel natural and coherent. Yet the words being exchanged exist only within your own neural activity. Some lucid dreamers report that dream language occasionally transcends ordinary communication, with meaning being transferred directly through feeling or image, rather than through sequential words at all. Research on language processing during REM sleep shows that the brain regions responsible for producing and comprehending speech remain partially active during dreaming, but operate with different activation patterns than during waking. Conversation. You might find yourself understanding a language you have never studied, or communicating complex ideas without speaking at all. Like discovering that meaning can travel between minds without needing words as its vehicle. Whether dreams occur in full color or in monochrome has been debated by researchers for decades. But lucid dreaming provides uniquely reliable evidence. Because lucid dreamers can consciously attend to and report on their visual experience while it is happening. Their testimony carries particular scientific weight. Research using lucid dreaming paradigms confirms that most lucid dreams are experienced in full. Vivid color. Often in color, more intensely saturated than waking perception. Some dreamers report being able to consciously manipulate the color palette of an entire dreamscape through gentle intention alone. Your sleeping visual cortex generates color without any light entering your eyes, painting inner worlds with pigments that exist nowhere in physics. Like watching an artist work with paints that have no physical substance, yet produce images more vivid than any photograph. The experience of recurring dream locations, places you visit again and again across separate dreams on different nights, takes on new significance during lucid dreaming. Many dreamers report recognizing familiar dreamscapes when they become lucid. Places that exist only in their dream geography, but feel as real and as known as any physical location they have visited in waking life. Some experienced lucid dreamers describe developing detailed mental maps of dream territories they have explored over years of practice. Research into dream topography suggests these recurring locations may represent stable patterns in spatial memory processing, neural pathways that the dreaming brain returns to repeatedly across many nights. These dream places become landmarks in an inner geography that belongs only to you, like discovering that you have been building a private world your entire life without knowing it. One dream at a time, one night at a time. The feeling of pure presence in lucid dreams, existing without agenda, without desire to do or achieve anything specific. Simply observing the dream world with gentle, open attention can be profoundly peaceful. Some lucid dreamers describe this quality as the most valuable aspect of their entire practice. More meaningful than flying, more satisfying than adventure. In these moments of pure presence, you are consciousness without narrative, awareness without story, mind resting in the simple fact of being aware. Research connecting lucid dreaming with contemplative traditions finds that both cultivate this exact quality of presence, this capacity to exist fully in the moment without grasping or resisting. You discover that you don't need to do anything at all to be complete. That awareness itself is always enough. Like standing in an empty room and realizing slowly that the emptiness itself is beautiful. Proprioceptive sensations. Your sense of where your body is in space and how it is moving, take on remarkable and sometimes impossible qualities during lucid dreams. You can experience the full sensation of flying with complete proprioceptive feedback, your inner balance system, creating appropriate feelings of ascent, descent, and movement through open space, despite your physical body lying perfectly still on your bed. Some lucid dreamers report experiencing proprioceptive sensations entirely impossible in waking life. The feeling of having additional limbs, of being very small or enormously large, of occupying multiple spatial locations at once. Your brain generates position and movement sense entirely from internal models, creating whatever embodied experience the dream requires. Like wearing a body made of possibility rather than flesh. Sleep paralysis, the natural muscle inhibition that occurs during REM sleep to prevent you from physically acting out your dreams, reveals itself to conscious awareness during lucid dreaming in interesting ways. You may become conscious of the fact that you cannot move your sleeping physical body, even as you move with complete freedom within the dream. Understanding that this paralysis is a normal, protective mechanism, something your brain does every night to keep you safe, removes any fear that might be associated with the sensation. Some experienced practitioners even learn to use sleep paralysis as a transitional state, a quiet doorway through which they can pass directly from waking awareness into a fully formed lucid dream. Knowledge gently transforms what might feel frightening into something useful and even beautiful. Like learning that the darkness you once feared is simply the sky before dawn. False awakenings. The experience of dreaming, that you have woken up when you are still deeply asleep, occur with particular frequency around the practice of lucid dreaming. You might dream you are rising from bed, beginning your morning routine in perfect detail, and then notice something strange. A clock displaying impossible numbers, a room with too many windows, a familiar face that doesn't quite match memory. Studies of dream content show these nested experiences happen more often to people actively practicing lucid dreaming techniques, possibly because the sleeping brain hovers so near the boundary between states that it simulates waking rather than achieving it. These layered dreams beautifully illustrate how thin the membrane between sleeping and waking can become, like looking through a window at a room that turns out to contain another window, looking quietly back at you, experiencing the sensation of having two bodies simultaneously, your sleeping physical body and your dream body, is something unique to the lucid dreaming state. Some practitioners report maintaining awareness of both at once, sensing the dream body moving through imaginary landscapes, while simultaneously feeling the quiet weight of the physical body resting on the mattress. This dual embodiment shouldn't be possible according to standard models of body awareness. Yet consciousness, in this particular state, proves flexible enough to hold both perspectives without contradiction. You inhabit two forms in two realities, one physical and one imagined, awareness stretching gently between them, like a bridge connecting two peaceful islands while belonging fully to neither. The dream environment itself can sometimes be shaped through gentle intention during lucid states. Rather than commanding changes, experienced lucid dreamers describe the process as expecting something to shift and then allowing the dream to respond at its own pace. You might intend for the sky to change color, and gradually it does. You might wish to visit a particular place, and the landscape slowly transforms around you. Research suggests this reflects how dreams are fundamentally products of expectation and belief, working together beneath conscious awareness. Your certainty that something will happen helps make it happen. Because in the dream world, belief and reality are quietly and intimately connected, like a whisper that the universe hears, because in this place, you are the universe. Yet the boundary between directing the dream and being surprised by it creates a unique space that exists nowhere else in human experience. Some lucid dreamers describe intentionally surrendering a portion of their control, asking the dream to show them something meaningful or to take them somewhere they haven't imagined. They remain lucid, fully aware that they are dreaming, but choose not to dictate every detail of what unfolds. The dream responds with its own mysterious creativity, presenting images and narratives that feel genuinely surprising despite originating entirely from the dreamer's own mind. This quiet collaboration between conscious will and unconscious imagination is something precious and rare. A conversation between different levels of self happening while your body rests peacefully in sleep. Like two old friends speaking honestly in the shelter of a night that asks nothing of either of them. And so, our quiet exploration arrives at its gentle ending. We have drifted from the deepest questions about consciousness and meaning, through patient techniques for finding awareness within sleep, into the luminous neuroscience of dreaming brains. and arrived at last at the tender sensations that make these inner worlds feel so vivid and so remarkably alive. Lucid dreaming teaches that consciousness never truly pauses. It only changes form, like water moving between states, sometimes flowing, sometimes perfectly still, sometimes rising as invisible vapor into an open sky. Awareness moves through its own gentle transformations each night. Always present, always you, just configured differently as you travel through the stages of sleep. Perhaps the kindest lesson is the simplest one. You do not need to control your dreams to benefit from them. You do not need to achieve lucidity to honor the intelligence of your sleeping mind. Every night, your brain creates worlds, processes emotions, consolidates memories, and quietly heals, all without a single instruction from your conscious awareness. The same mind that has been listening to these words will soon paint inner landscapes more vivid than anything we explored together tonight. And now, in these final moments, take the deepest breath your body wants to take. Not forced, just deep as feels natural and good. Feel the air fill your chest, your belly, the spaces between your ribs. Feel it leave slowly, carrying with it whatever remains of the day's weight. You have traveled far tonight, through questions that have no final answers, through brain regions whose names you need not remember, through techniques you can explore whenever quiet curiosity calls, through sensations that await you in your own dreams each night. All of that can rest now. Every idea, every fact, every image can dissolve like morning mist in gentle sunlight, leaving only calm behind. There is nothing left to do, nothing to remember, nothing to hold on to. Only rest, only the quiet intelligence of a body that knows how to sleep, and a mind that knows how to dream, and a consciousness that never truly stops, even in the deepest darkness. Let your breathing carry you now. Each exhale, a little deeper. Each inhale, a little softer, like a slow river widening as it approaches the sea. Your awareness can flow into whatever form of rest comes next. Tomorrow night, dreams will still be there. Your consciousness will still cycle through its states, creating worlds no one else will ever see. But tonight belongs to stillness. Rest well, sleepy soul. Let the science of sleep carry you gently into peace. Your mind has traveled far tonight. Now let it rest. Good night.